Hey guys, it's Sandro here, and today's video is a review of Carpro's newest and heaviest cutting compound ever in the form of Ultracut. Now, I've been testing Ultracut out since late last year, and I think the whole pandemic thing is the reason why it's taken so long for it to finally hit the market. But it should be out soon, if not right now. As per usual, I'm going to be putting this compound through its paces in this video, but also drawing on the last few months of experience with it to help provide some good information as to how this compound performs and what you can expect from it. To start with, I'm working on a softer, scratched up paint, but also putting in some 1500 grit sanding marks as a first test panel. And before I get to talking about the results, I want to discuss Ultracut's user experience. Now, in the past, I've actually criticized Carpro for putting no dust or even low dust descriptions on their labels for some compounds. But this time, the low dust description is actually very accurate, as Ultracut is in fact very low dusting, especially considering that it's quite a coarse, heavy cut compound. Secondly, the wipe off is also rather good and relatively easy for a compound in this category, so I'd say that's 2 for 2. Thirdly, there's some very good lubrication in this compound that almost feels like it comes in stages. After the first pass, it can sometimes appear like it's starting to dry up on the panel, but then as you continue, it almost kicks in with another stage of lubricants that will see you through the end of the polishing cycle, which did feel quite unique to me in that respect, and also greatly aids the polishing pad in maintaining a nice, smooth and freely spinning motion. So, with perhaps the exception of Carpro's finer polishes such as Reflect and Essence, Ultracut is quite easily the brand's lowest dusting, easiest wipe off and best lubricated compound to date, which is very surprising considering that it's also their heaviest cutting compound to date. But in a nutshell, the overall user experience is fantastic, and they've really hit the nail on the head in that area. So next, I want to talk a little about technique with Ultracut. Now, Carpro actually recommends starting off your polishing cycle with low machine speeds and with less pressure, and then increasing speed and pressure as you finish off that polishing cycle. And it's also the exact same method they recommend with Carpro Clearcut. Now, with Carpro Clearcut, I actually agree that that's a good, if not the best, general method for using it, as well as perhaps adding a bit more compound to your pad than normal. And I'd also say that you can certainly still use Ultracut in that way. But unlike Clearcut, that really seems to benefit from that more specific polishing technique, I think Ultracut has so much more flexibility to it that allows you to deviate and actually seems to adapt quite well to various and more individual polishing techniques. So I guess what I found is that if I used it more aggressively, it still had good lubrication and resisted dusting within reason and still seemed to cut and finish rather well. And the same could be said for taking a more gentle approach, and I just don't think we've seen such an adaptive and flexible compound from Carpro in the past. Now, another thing that you'll hopefully see in this footage is that when Ultracut is used with more aggressive pads, machines and methods, it really cuts extremely well. But at the same time, when used with less aggressive pads and methods, the finish is actually much better than you'd expect from a coarse compound. And just to remind you, this is a softer paint, and although the finish isn't perfect, it's quite uncommon for a heavy cut compound to finish so well on this paint with any pad or technique. One thing I will also say here is that I hate this label that certain compounds are getting, such as it's a pad dependent compound. Guys, all compounds are pad dependent. The only ones that aren't are very bad compounds or very old compounds that haven't caught up to what's happened in abrasive technology in the past 10 years. It's just a marketing hype or ploy. All compounds and polishes today are extremely pad dependent unless they are rubbish. End of story. So having said that, and also after spending a lot of time with this new compound, it's quite clear to me that it can work well on a variety of paints with a variety of machines, from rotaries to gear driven and free spinning DA polishes with many diverse techniques and methods. So adaptability and range is definitely a good way to look at Ultracut. This second test panel is more of a medium to hard paint, and what I actually did here was use Carpro's other compounds, comparing Ultracut to Clearcut, Fixer and Reflect, so you guys can see where it sits and how it compares to their lineup. Now, as you guys will hopefully see once I'm done, there's just no question that Ultracut has the best cut or defect leveling ability here. And I would say that it's a step, if not 2 steps, better than Clearcut, which is now Carpro's second best cutting compound, which you can now look at as more of a standard cutting compound rather than an extra heavy cutting compound such as Ultracut. Fixer is really more of a 1-step or medium cut compound, so it will tend to have less cut than both Ultracut and Clearcut and try to find a better balance of cut versus finish. Reflect is more of a pure finishing polish, so unless we're talking minor swirls, it's really not going to remove any substantial defects, but rather just be a finishing polish to remove compounding haze and amplify gloss and clarity levels. Now, in saying all of that, I think Ultracut is far and away the best compound or polish that the brand has ever produced. And I also think that if Carpro is serious about taking a more significant leap into creating world-class detailing compounds, Ultracut should be the standard they take on moving forward. The thing is that I not only found that Ultracut cuts better than Clearcut, but in almost every test I did, it also finished better. And believe it or not, in many cases, it was also finishing just as good as Fixer, which is kind of crazy. So then, where does Clearcut and Fixer really sit with Ultracut now on the scene? I think they could almost merge and develop a new medium compound that retains relatively good cut but can finish even better. I also think that Reflect is a nice finishing polish, but nice isn't going to shake the world or give you a world-class reputation. So I also think that maybe it's time for Carpro Ultra Finish or Reflect 2.0. I'm only saying this because I think Ultracut is a compound that I think can compete with my very favourite compounds, such as NV Precision, the Last Cut Plus and Shoal Concepts S2 Black. I do really think it's potentially that good. Now, as with most things in life, time is the real test, and I definitely want a little more time with Ultracut before making a definitive conclusion. But if my primary experience is anything to go by, it really seems like a winner. I'll end this video by saying that there's a lot of different detailers and enthusiasts that work quite differently to me. So it's not like what works best for me or what I have the best results with is going to translate to everyone else. We all have different styles, needs and objectives in detailing, but I can only share my own experiences in these reviews. So take it with a grain of salt and always look for products that work best for you personally, as that's what really matters in the end. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please share this video, like, comment and subscribe to this channel to show support for this content, and I'll see you guys soon.